Hey everyone, Darren Connell here. Welcome back to my studio. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to part 10 now of the Kylo Ren painting tutorial. Just give me a quick check that everything is recording. Yes. Okay, we're all right and ready to go. For those of you who see me doing that every time, I go, oh my god, Darren, what are you doing? Don't you know how to do everything? I do. But sometimes I do things wrong, or sometimes the software goes wrong, or something. I've done things where I've recorded an entire video, and because I didn't check it, I hadn't turned... Oh my god, I've done it again! Hello? Can you hear me now? This is why I check. Okay, let me put this in place. So there's my microphone. Now you can hear me. Should we start that again? Let's start that again. Hey everyone, Darren Connell here. Welcome back to my studio. Welcome to part 10 of the Kylo Ren painting tutorial series. Now that everything is actually working, oh my god. Let's carry on. I'll bring the overhead camera in. It should be roughly in the right place. There's a camera there. I changed to the close-up with me in the corner. There's me in the corner. There's me in the corner. Right, okay. That's about right. So if let's just move these paints forward so I've got a little bit more space. And I can lean there and I'm holding the thing and painting on it. That works fine. So, Kylo Ren. I was about to sing Kylo Ren's theme from the soundtrack and I can't remember it. It's a few notes, isn't it? Oh, that's going to annoy me now. Stay there. Let me... I'm going onto my phone here. Give me 1 second, because that's going to annoy me. Kylo Ren arrives at the battle. Presumably that's a track that has his music in. Now I'm not putting it up too loud because if it's too loud then I'll probably get a copyright scratch against me. Yeah, come on, give me the music. I know. Just get to his theme. Should have Kylo dancing while I'm doing this. Come on, give me his theme. Come on. Come on. Let me jump forward again. Oh, hang on. Ba 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 ba. Thank you. Right. Thank you for giving me the time to do that because that would have annoyed me for like the next 3 hours or something. So that's the theme tune I was going to start singing until I realised I couldn't remember it. Okay, so Kylo Ren. Last video we'd started doing the eyes. They look very harsh and dramatic like that. I know it looks weird, but it'll get better. In the last video I'd done the first layer of the eyes. I did as I said I was going to and went over and did a few extra layers on top of thinned down paint. What I did was I got some ivory, mixed in a little bit of yellow ochre and actually mixed in a little bit of neutral grey just to dull it down a bit more. And even with that, it still looks really excessively stand out when you look at it like that. But when you put the shading on and when you put all the edges, the fact that it's just painted on, when you sort of paint in the little tear duct bit in the corner, and all the red underneath, and you put the shading in the corners and the blood vessels and the iris and the pupil, and you do all of that, it looks much better. So that's what it looks like at the moment. So what I think we're going to do, I've just realised that's looking quite far away. Why is that not? That could be a little bit more zoomed in, couldn't it? So camera 1. No, wrong way. Oh, it was zoomed in. Just wasn't zoomed in all the way. Okay. So the focus is not down there. Okay, so it is about there. So what I think we're going to do, let's just start adding things. I think we'll do the corner bits first, just because, well, I don't know, just because. I don't need reasons. So the beige red, the colour that I use as a base for the skin, or the colour that I am experimenting with using as a base for the skin, because I'm still getting used to these different paints than I normally use. And let's add a bit of vermilion to it. I've only got 2 reds, and they are those. And if I was doing it by itself, I'd use that one. Because I'm mixing it with some of that, I think this one will do. So let's plonk, let's do it in that one. Plonk some beige red down. Plonk a little bit of red down and mix them up. Let me find, where's that rubbish brush? There it is. So let's get a bit of water. Where are we? There we are. Bit of water. Bit of the beige red. I don't know why it's called red. It's nothing like red. Bit of vermilion, which makes it straight away very pinkish, which is what we want to start with. Because the corner of the eye is actually a few different colours, it's a few different shades. But as long as you have a reddish skin colour like that, that's good enough to start with. And you can add extra shadows and highlights and stuff on top. I never just do it as one colour. So dry that off. Let's get a little pointy brush. Let's find one. No, not that one. Eeny, meeny, miny. Okay, let's try that one. That should do. So, little pointy brush. Let's see if I can raise the focus a little bit. Where was it? So if I bring the focus up, I can't do this too much because when it's away from my eyes I can't really see, and it's difficult to... Okay, so about there, but the problem is I sort of need to tilt it towards me to be able to see what I'm doing. Let's see, I've got an idea. Let's bring this further down. So that is about there. But if I tilt the camera up or forward, I should be able to point it a little bit more towards me and still see what I'm doing, and you still see what I'm doing also. So fingers crossed. Now this colour that I'm dropping in, and it's quite liquidy, so it's probably just going to do the surface tension thing of filling in all the corners, which is fine. I'm just... This is thinned down stuff, so I'm just dropping some in. I'm also going to go over the bottom edge of the eyes there, because I need to redo the edges where the eyeball paint, you can see the way the eyeball paint, the white, it's not white, but you know, I'm going to call it white because it's easier. In fact, you can see it better on that one. Has gone onto the edge of the eyelid. And that's unavoidable just because of the way things are sculpted. You paint it on, and if it's thin paint, it runs everywhere. And I knew that would happen. In fact, it's doing it with this now. Ah, too much liquid on the brush. Okay, let me get rid of all of that liquid. Let's use this to try and soak up the rest. That's what I get for talking while I'm working. It's actually really difficult. In fact, it's too close. I wonder if I can... So that's on manual. Can I make this a bit darker? That might help. Because I'm holding it so high up, close to the camera, it's also a lot closer to the light that's immediately above me, which means that it bleaches everything out. Okay, so we've done that side. Where does it need to be? There. Let's do the other side. Let's turn it around that way. Let's get rid of some of that. A lot of liquid on that brush. See, you can see I'm going to have to neaten up the white of that because it's come up a little bit too high onto the eyeball just because there was too much liquid on my brush and it ran into the corner and then it just went shoof and spread all the way down the way liquid does. And it's actually neater looking, but it's just slightly in the wrong place. I don't want it that high up off the edge of the eyelid. I couldn't think of the name of it. The eyelid. So what I'm going to do is get that eyeball colour at some point and just neaten up that edge again. Take it a little bit further back down again, but not all the way down to the eyelid. But I can do that at some point. For now, we can work with it as it is. So, do another coat of the same colour, but I've just mixed in. We had that colour. Where are we? Come on. Oh, how high up is that? That colour. And I've just mixed in another little dot of the red to make it slightly more red. I'm just going to do another bit in the corner for now. That's going to be made darker and more red once it's dry. I'm going to try and take some of this across the way it needs to. Where are we? Where's the camera? There. I'm going to do the same up above, neaten up that top eyelid where it touches the eyeball. Oops, just touched the nose as well, which is wrong. Just neaten that up a little bit, but the top eyelid is actually going to be darker to make it seem a little bit in shadow, which it would be for real. So that top edge against the eyeball is always a little bit darker. Well, that's how I do them anyway. Just taking that bit up to the corner. Now the corners of the eyeball itself are going to have blood vessels and shadows. Shading or shadows. And we'll do that in a little bit, but I want to let that stuff dry first so nothing ends up mixing up and getting in the way. I'm also going to have to remember that in order to be able to lift this up to show you it close up, I made the camera darker. So when I put it back down, to here, I should probably, actually that still seems okay. Oh no, it reset when I pressed the button. That's fine. Okay, so let's go back to where we normally have it. Oh, excuse me. I had chicken pie for lunch and a coffee, and it's just made me burp. So I'm just getting rid of that pink off the brush. And I'm having a think about what to do next. And my expensive brushes, so I'm trying to look after those ones. Okay, so where are we? Where's the focus? Oh, there somewhere. Okay. Actually, that should be dry enough, I think, to let me carry on with it. I'm wondering if we go straight in and start doing the iris first and then do the rest of it after that. No, let's do a little bit of shading and then we'll do the iris. So, to do my fake shadows as I do them on the sides of the eyeballs, I'm going to get, it's going to be a little bit of that neutral grey mixed into, I've actually got some of that oh my god ivory colour left, so let me throw some water in that, see if that's still, oh yeah, I can use that, that's fine. So that ivory colour, which is now looking too bright, let me drop a little bit of grey down. Gonna drop a little bit of grey into it. Where are we? Oh, I moved the camera forward, didn't I? Hang on. Let's tilt this back. There you go. Drop a little bit of grey into that. I don't want to do too much because I don't want it to be too dark. And it's also going to be a wash. What do I do? Black brown or a colour of brown? Because I don't want it to be just grey. That's quite neutral and mechanical feeling, as opposed to, I try never to use black or flat grey or stuff, apart from things like painting the irises before I do the main thing. So the main eyes, I'm going to drop in a little bit of flat earth for no other reason than I just saw it and thought, that'll be a way of adding something to it. So a little bit, drop of flat earth, not too much. Let's get some of that. Now the problem is, I'm thinking about this now, I probably shouldn't be using the colour with the ivory in, because that's going to stop it acting like a wash. Colours with whites or anything like that in always end up completely obliterating anything that's underneath, whereas dark colours, you can do them more as washes and they work a bit better. Some paints just go on as stronger colours than others. Let's see. Just seeing how this looks. I'll do for now. That's a little bit more grey in there. Let's make it a bit darker again. Okay, throw that brush in there. Let's grab, and this doesn't have to be super perfect, so I can get any brush. This is a little brush that used to be super pointy, but it's one of the cheaper ones, and it started going a little bit curly on the end. And because I have the Raphael good ones, which give me really excellent points, what I did was I just got some tiny scissors, cut off the curly bit at the end that was going wrong, and it's made it into a not very pointy, but sort of pointy enough for certain things type brush. So I'm just taking some of that mixed up why can't I remember that colour? Ivory. Ivory and grey and yellow ochre colour. That I've just added some of that flat earth and neutral grey to. Now, don't know how this is going to look first, so I'm getting rid of most of the colour off the brush. I'm just going to dot some in the corner. Now what I really should be doing here is having a spare second brush ready for fixing in case anything goes wrong. Where are we? Oh, I could really do with doing that focus up again, couldn't I? Okay, so camera 1, focus up to there, that should do. I'm just dabbing this in to get some in the corner. Let's wet this spare brush. I can use that to blend it a little bit. Let's get a little bit more of the darker colour. Where are we? Make the edges slightly darker. It doesn't make any difference on the camera. I can just about see it, which is ideal. It's how it should be. Let's do the same on this side. Let's get a bit in the corner. Take it up, get the spare brush, and just blend the edge of it. Now what I'm going to do with this is do some grey in the corner as well. I'm going to mix more grey in with this colour perhaps. It's always much more difficult doing this and trying to hold it up onto the camera, because normally my normal working position, as I probably say loads of times, is sitting here like this, holding a thing right up in front of me. And I can't do that when I'm trying to hold it out in front of me. It's much more difficult to see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's add some red. Let's give him some blood vessels in the corner of his eyes. Let's use this different one this time. Give it a shake. Put some on there. Now, do I mix it in with that pinkish colour? Yeah, why not? So, taking some of that colour that we had before. Oh my god, where's the focus? All the way up there. Oh, that's so difficult. Taking some of that, mix it in with some of that colour. Oh. Let's thin it right down. Let's get a bit more in. Okay. Now, blood vessels in the corner. Let's get a pointy brush. Now the thing is, doing this, the paint usually when I'm doing it, where's that brush that I just, that one will do. I used to just do like a vague colouring, then I started painting actual blood vessels, which is harder because sometimes the paint doesn't stick to the eyeball the way you want it to. Get a little bit more water there because it's a little bit too dry. Okay. I'm going to start off just doing a little bit of red and then blending it in. Softening the edge and taking it in a little bit. Let's do the same on this side. A little bit of red in the corner. And then along the edge, just dabbing it to soften it, blend it about a bit, move it about, allow it to get thinner. That'll do it. Now turn it around so I can do the other sides. Get some more paint on the brush. So, same here, get some red right in the corner. A little bit more than I need, but then I can get this brush. It's a damp brush, it's not wet, but it's not completely dry. It's probably mostly dry by now. And just dab, 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 dab. Put another extra little tiny bit in the corner. And then do the same thing again on the last corner, which was, where are we? Over here. Put a bit of water on my dry dabbing brush because I think it had gone a bit too dry and it wasn't allowing me to blend it in at all. I'm just doing the same again on one of the other corners, just adding a little bit more red. Now that that bit's dried and I've done the other corners, a little bit more red, and I can go back with the dabbing brush. Where's the focus? Help it blend around. Now, that feels like a little bit too much on the bottom edge, so I'm just going to lighten it off a bit. A little bit again. In the opposite corner. Just put a little bit of water on the dabbing brush and then wipe it off. Okay, that's alright. So we're starting to get the colour in there. Now you can see it looks more severe on camera and much more red than it looks to the naked eye, and especially as there's still going to be more adjusting. And especially because I've got to repaint that bottom edge, which the red came up too high. So ignore that bottom bit under my nail. So I'm going to go back and get some of that greyish colour that I mixed. I actually just dropped a little bit of the red in it by accident and it makes quite a nice colour. So that edge there, I picked up some of this colour, picked up some of the red by mistake, and it mixed in, and it's quite good between the red and the grey colour. So I'm going to do some of that in the corners to add some different detail, different shading to the corners that I was doing, add some different stuff to the blood vessels. The more different stuff you can do, the better, and a lot of those will and can come from happy accidents. Now I'm going to use that same colour, and it's quite thin, to paint a shadow under the eyelid. I'm going to just make the top of the eyeball colour a bit darker. Because what it does, when you have it the right way up and you have your light source above you where most light sources are, and the, you know, in real terms for the figure, the sun would be coming from above him, it helps give the illusion that it's a real thing in real space, with shadows and highlights and all of the stuff that you get. And I'm just using that damp brush to move around some of the shading while it's wet enough. So there's not too much pink on the eyeballs or anything. Okay, so that's that. Let me get I want to get a dark red to go back into the corners, and also to lightly run along the bottom a little bit. So let's take the red that we used and let's drop in, I don't know, a bit of brown. Let's get some whole red. Just randomly chose that, going by what it looked like. I just want something that's a bit dark and a bit brown, so I can take that, mix it into some of this red, and already straight away that's a really good colour for adding in as a thin wash into the corners to go on top of the colours that we did. And if it's thin enough, it should just run into the corners and do exactly what I want it to do. Okay, so where are we? Focus. I would let this just focus by itself, but the webcam focus was just always trying to adjust and it was very annoying, so I turned it off. So I'm just taking some of this dark colour and dropping it into the edges. I'm just doing the very first bit where it goes from the corner to underneath the eyeball. I don't want it to go all the way across, but I just want it to go on there a little bit. In fact, I'm going to do the same thing again on the other corner. And a little bit above, because it's a slightly darker colour. I said I want the underneath to be darker. The underneath of his top eyelid. Okay, now what I'm going to do is the right eye, as you look at it, where I had done the ivory colour, sorry, the red colour on the bottom a little bit too high, and it had gone onto the eyeball a bit more. The surface tension pulled the water, the very thin paint, further than I wanted it to. I'm just going to get some ivory now, and I'm not going to bother mixing the grey and the what's it called? What's it called? The grey and the yellow ochre that I mixed in to get the eyeball colour. I'm not going to mix any of that in because this is, I'm only doing this on the very front of the eyeball, and it's actually quite good having some lighter colour there because it almost acts as a highlight. So I'm doing a little bit on the eyeball itself, but then I'm also going to try and take it down over that red a bit. Now this is actually too thin because I've watered it down too much and it's just running everywhere. So let me get some more stuff straight from the pot. Let's not add any paint, any water to it this time. But I don't want it to go on too thick, that's the only thing. Might need to add a little bit of that greyish colour to it. Now that I'm not using it watered down. I want to get rid of most of it off the brush as I can. Let me just have a look at this off camera for a second. Where's the focus? This seems like a bit a constant battle trying to find the focus. Okay, so I've brought the white down. Where's the focus there? I brought the white of the eye down a little bit lower to cover some of that pink that had gone all over the place when the water soaked on. I'm going to remove a little bit of that red we put in the corner. Now I've not painted any individual blood vessels yet, which I normally do. I actually started mentioning that before. I'm just taking that back a little bit there. what I used to do was just do a vague red shading in the corner, and that works perfectly fine. You don't need to do any more than that. But then at some point I started trying to paint tiny little microscopic individual blood vessels that look like tiny little veins, and I would paint just one or two of them in the corners coming out onto the eyeball, and I really liked that. But it worked better in some cases than it did in others, where I don't know if it was the shape of the eye or just how the eye was sculpted, or how bloodshot the actors' eyes were or something. Just sometimes it looked better than others. What I'll do is I'll decide whether I'm doing that here after we've done more of the eye. But for now, and I know the red in those corners looks really drastic. It won't once the red actually looks more red on camera than it does to me. That looks really red there as I'm looking at it on the screen, on the recording. As I look at it in person, it's just a bit more pink. It fits in more with the face. So you will have to take my word on that. And we might add more shading. We might go in with like a slight grey wash in the corners once we've done the irises and the pupils and the eyelashes and stuff like that. But for now, on the shading on the eyes, I'm alright with that. That's quite good. It's hard to see on camera because we got so much light hitting it from above. But looking at it as I look at it, just as a normal head, that looks good so far. So I can see a little bit there where I need to add a little bit of pinkish red in the bottom. There's a little bit of white just broken through the line there. So I'll do that in a second. But that's just going to be making those two lines of red on the eyeball join up in the middle there, just covering that bit. So I'm going to do that. So what we'll do next is, let's see, no, let's do, I was going to do the irises. Yeah, the irises. I still get mixed up between irises and pupils. I was going to do the irises next, but what I think I'll do is I'll do those on the next video because this has been over 3/4 of an hour already. But what we'll do now to start is we will do the start, I should say, of the eyelashes, the dark line of eyelashes. Now this isn't going to be, I will be painting them in more detail, but I just want to get a start on them. And what I'm going to do, how do I want to do this? Let's get some black brown, just put a little blob down. Let's mix it with a little bit of beige red, which is the skin colour. I'm just going to put some water down, take some beige red, put some black brown in it just to make it darker. Because I don't want to paint these on as a dark brown line because that's too dramatic, especially to start with. And that's how I used to do it. I would just paint a single dark line. I'm going to add a little bit of red in there. And I would paint a single dark line across the top of his eyes, and that would be his eyelashes. That's what I'd do. And it worked. And that was still more detail than what you got on, factory bought figures. But then I started to paint them in more detail, but not painting individual hairs. I would just paint various layers of different shades of blobs. I would go blob, 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 across the eye again and again with different shades. And it would give the impression of eyelashes. You'd see the shadow, you'd see the rough shape. You would know just by looking at the head, oh, there's eyelashes there. But, if you put it under a microscope, you wouldn't see individual eyelashes because they just never looked right for me. If you painted them faint enough to be in scale, you could hardly see them. If you painted them thick enough to be able to see. They were too thick. And I just never liked doing it that way. So I always did the, fake impression of eyelashes. So what I'm going to do, I've taken the beige red and the black brown, put a little bit of that red colour. Oh, you can't see. Sorry. Where are we? Beige red here, black brown, mix that together, put a little bit of that red in there, which gives us this colour. It's almost like a purpley beigey brown. It's not super dark, but I don't want it to be that yet because we're not at that stage. This is more shadow than eyelashes. So I'm just painting some of this. It's actually not going on that dark anyway, so it is quite subtle, which is good. Where are we? There's the focus. So if I can just get some of this. I'm doing this half on the tip of the eyelid and half on the, not on the eyeball, but where the eyelid meets the eyeball. In fact, that one's just gone a little bit on the eyeball, but that's fine because I normally add extra shadow under there anyway once I can see how things are looking. So I'm just going back over there, adding another little bit. And it's slightly darker under there. See how that top edge is darker now? It's just a little bit, but it's enough to help with the impression of it being in shadow, and also to start with the impression of there being eyelashes there, which we will add more to next time with darker colours again. Okay, so can I reset? No, that is at the right brightness. In fact, you know what? I know I've already done a bit of dark, it's okay. I was going to do a thing there and I realised I've already done it. I was going to do a thin wash of dark on the eyebrows just to start them, but I just realised I've already done it in a previous video, so that's fine. Okay, that'll do for now. That's the work to get the eyeballs ready to have the iris and the pupils painted on, and that's what we do. Let me just bring that up a little bit again. So there's just some red in the corner, a little bit of shading. It looks more dramatic when there's nothing else on the eye, but once you put the iris there and once you finish it off, it looks a lot better. So we've done the red in the corner, we've done some grey in the corner, we've done the blood vessels a little bit coming onto the eye, we've added some shading on the eyeball near the top, we've started the shadow that is under the eyelashes and what works as the sort of the first row, the first layer of doing the eyelashes. And we've neatened off the edges. I'm gonna, once I've stopped this, I'm gonna just neaten up that edge there. Just gonna get a little bit of this red but slightly more pink. I'm just gonna neaten up that edge there so there's not that break with the white that you can see there. I'm just gonna neaten up that bit there. I'll do that off camera because it's just the same as what I was doing on this eye before when I was neatening up that stuff. And that'll do for now. So let me jump back to the main camera. Let me push my glasses back so I can actually see you. So that's it for part 10, I think I said. I'm cleaning these brushes. Once I'm done with this, what we'll do, I'll get this uploaded. The next video, I think what we will do is do more on the eyelashes. Now that we've started those, we'll go in and start doing the eyelashes darker. We'll put the first layer down of the irises, the dark colour, which I normally do as a dark grey. He's got brown eyes. I might do this as a dark greyish brown to do the base layer, that then all the colours of the iris get painted on, and the pupils. But we'll get those first circles painted on for the irises. And we'll do any other stuff that we see along the way. We might want to adjust the colours of the skin around the eyelids themselves. Sometimes as you start painting things, you go, "Ooh, that looked perfect when there were no eyes there, but now that I've started doing them, that bit needs to be a little bit more red or a little bit more flesh coloured," and you can adjust things as you go. So we'll do any of that we see. I keep looking over here because I've got the pictures of Kylo Ren. And I keep looking at them. It's what I normally do when I'm working by myself, when I'm not talking to you. I'll be sitting here and I will be constantly looking at the pictures all the time. So it's difficult to try and shut them away and forget that they're there and just talk to you. So that's part 10. I'm going to go and get on with things. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. Be nice to yourselves. Be nice to everyone else around you. Be nice to animals. Have a good day. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend, wherever you are watching this. And I will see you for part 11, and we'll get on with everything that I've just said we're going to do. Right, I'm going to go. No big long goodbyes this time. I'm just going to go away. So, take care, and I'll see you next time. See you guys.